So I was like, oh, how do I cook healthy? How do I make the bread healthier? So instead of using white flour and yeast, how can I make whole grain biscuits or little bread buns? So he came and I made these biscuits. This actually looks much better than what I made. And the biscuits, in my efforts to cook healthy, I just wasn't trained that way. So the biscuits came out really hard. They came out, these are like rocks. They came out rock hard. And I stirred them with a little butter on top. And my teacher, he was very kind and very patient. He took the biscuit and he did this. So it was so hard, it made this really rock hard sound. And he ate the butter and left the biscuit, returned the biscuit on the plate. So then and there, and he actually instructed me to learn how to cook better. So at that time, I decided that yes, as service to others, I'm going to learn how to cook. And this is how my culinary journey began. And many years forward, I lived in India for many years, and this is where I learned about Ayurveda, which I will speak about today. And one of my main teachers is Vaidya Ramakant Mishra, Ayurveda teachers, and I studied with him in the Shakavansya Ayurveda lineage, which is a very old lineage of Ayurveda, like many, many generations. And he was very expert in cooking and food, and most of the things I know about Ayurvedic cooking, I learned from him. And he was also a Vaishnava, kind of. So what is Ayurveda? I'm not sure why this green line is in the middle. It's
TV.
TV? Oh, okay.
Technology.
It's part of the design. So, for those of you who don't know or not familiar, Ayurveda is a traditional healing system of India. Just like China has Chinese medicine, so Ayurveda is a traditional healing system of India. It's a very old science. Some people say 5,000 years, but it's actually much, much, much older than that. And the beauty of it is that it has been tried, tested, and evolved for thousands of years. Unlike modern medicine, the way it's practiced today with allopathic medication, it's about 150 years maybe old, and it's still evolving. So Ayurveda is a very old system, and it provides knowledge about health and food. So when you go to a modern doctor and you ask them, what should I eat for my condition, they will usually just say, just keep eating what you do, just keep doing what you're doing, just take the pill, right? In Ayurveda, it's not like that. Ayurveda is like, it's a whole lifestyle system. So the food we eat directly affects the way we feel. So part of treatment protocol and feeling better is eating the food. The food is prescribed to you, it's not just eating, it's more than eating. And as Janaki mentioned, I'm sorry, this is a very small print here, but this is just a little diagram about the different Vedic scriptures. So if you think about the Vedas, the ancient Vedic texts, it's a very, very large body of literature. There are the four main Vedas, and then there are many subdivisions. So Ayurveda fits right here. So Upavedas means like sub-Vedas, and they're part of the Vedic body of knowledge. And unlike modern knowledge and modern science, everything in the Vedic literature is connected. So, like, no matter which part of the Vedic practice or literature you take to, it's connected to everything else. And that's the beauty of it. And how is this connected? It comes from the same source. Ultimately, all knowledge has a divine source. And sooner or later, if you take to any Vedic practice, sooner or later, it will take you back to that divine source. So Ayurveda is the medical science. There's also Dhanurveda, which is the martial arts, the military science. And the two can be very connected, right? They support each other. So that's something special about the Vedic knowledge, that it's all connected.
Can you say four? Wait, rather four.
The four Vedas, the Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva. So these are the original, they are the oldest. And then from there, many different scriptures came about. This is a little difficult to comprehend on the screen, but I'm happy to share with you the source if you like. But this is now for us it's impossible to learn all this, right? That's why in the Bhakti tradition, we do follow the Vedic way of life and the Vedic knowledge, but we focus on the Bhagavata Purana. So these are the Puranas right here down. And they come in 3 different sections. So we follow the kind of literature that directly takes us to the source. Directly takes us to, for us, this is Krishna, or whoever you accept as God, the Supreme Lord, whatever name you call him. That's the Vaishnava scriptures, they take us directly to the source. Don't waste time. There's no time to learn all of this. But what I love about Ayurveda is that Ayurveda helps us in our spiritual practice, and we'll discuss this a little bit in a few minutes. So one of the Ayus is the Sanskrit word for life. Ayurveda, so Ayu, that's life in Sanskrit. And the definition of life, one of the definitions of life is the flow of prana through the body. How many of you have heard this word prana? Oh, prana, chi in Chinese medicine. Yeah, chi, energy. So this is the energy that keeps us alive. And in Ayurveda and in general, in yoga practice, we really we pay a lot of attention to prana. Because prana, it sustains our life and keeps everything together for us. Without prana, the body is dead. So part of being healthy is to maintain a healthy flow of prana. Remember this because we're going to connect this to food and figure out what food is best for us to eat. So what do we do with prana in our body? So prana is compared to money. Think about prana as money. Who wants more money? I want more money for sure. So we try to increase, just like we try to increase our wealth, we consciously should try to increase our prana, increase our life energy. How? Through lifestyle choices, and I'll mention also a little later what decreases our prana, what lifestyle choices decrease our prana. So when you don't have energy, your prana is also low. When you feel down mentally, your prana is low. So increase prana, conserve it. So don't waste it. Just like when you get some money, you don't want to waste it. You want to conserve it. You want to keep it for when you need it. Don't be a miser, but also don't overspend it. Don't spend it immediately. So we conserve our energy. We choose how to spend our energy. And then we balance the flow of prana, just like we balance our bank balances. And we want to balance the flow, so not having bursts of prana or too little prana. We like to flow in a balanced way. And then channel. So just like we channel our money to, like we invest, we may invest money in particular channels to increase our revenue, hopefully. So we also want to channel the prana in a way that's very productive and that can bring positive change in the world. So channeling our prana is also important. And then purify the prana. So the more, especially with yoga practice and with spiritual practice, we learn how to purify our prana so that we become more attuned to who we are, nature around us, and what we're meant to do in this world. So, let the prana grow and flow. So think about your prana. Think about how you're utilizing your prana and where you're at in your prana flow today. And remember, when prana does not flow, when there is an obstruction, whether in our body or our life, and maybe a blockage of prana in our relationships, a blockage of prana in our career or our studies or whatever. So ask yourself, why is the prana not flowing there? Because it's causing a disturbance. So these are some things that deplete or stagnate prana. Eating foods that you don't fully digest. We'll get into this a little bit more later. But in Ayurveda, we always speak about digestion. So if you, no matter what you eat, if you don't digest it, even if whether it's healthy or unhealthy, that undigested food can cause blockages and inflammation in the body. So this is one of the main causes of disease. So we don't just think, oh, what should I eat? What's in the fridge? No, we think, what can I digest? That's always a consideration. And then overeating. I know, when it's so good. Or you're new in the ashram and you're just always hungry. So, but overeating, eating too much, can cause a problem, prana problem, even if it's prasad. Lack of sleep, that's a big one. So, not getting enough sleep or not sleeping at the right times for you, like the more not getting enough restorative sleep, let's put it that way. So if you're not getting enough sleep, then you'll be falling asleep while you're working, while you're driving, God forbid, while you're chanting, while you're sitting in class, even now. So you've been working very hard. It's the end of the day, I understand. But lack of sleep can also actually be very dangerous for your health. So make sure that you're getting, and everybody's body needs at different stages of life also. We have our perfect amount of sleep. So make sure you find that and you give that to yourself. It's important. And then overworking. I struggle with this a lot. And lack of exercise. So exercise, believe it or not, especially in ashram or spiritual practice, sitting down when you're chanting, sitting down when you're reading, sitting down when you're out in the street. So you tend to be very sedentary, or you're sitting at the computer working, whatever it may be. Just if you spend 20 to 30 minutes every day just doing some physical exercise, you'll get so much more energy. Your mind will be more positive, and also you will need less sleep, and you would need to eat less also. So try it. It really, really helps. For me, this is the hardest part. It's to make sure I exercise every day. But every time I do it, I feel so much better. Because prana is flowing, and then I can give, when my prana levels are good and balanced, this is what I'm giving to others, right? If my prana is low, what happens? I start sucking energy from you, or I just emanate this depleted energy. So that's no fun for others or for me. So the general goal of Ayurveda is to protect our health and prevent illness. So preventative medicine is very big in Ayurveda. Why do you have to try not to get sick as much as possible? And if you happen to get sick, which is also part of life and natural, then Ayurveda can help us restore wellness in the most natural way. So when there is a health issue, a good Ayurvedic doctor always looks for the deep cause of the problem, or the different causative factors. So it's not just the symptoms, right? It's like you're going deep into what's causing this, and then addressing the issue from many different angles. So Ayurveda does not just treat the disease. Ayurveda treats the whole person. So remember that. I love this. This is truly holistic approach. And then how do we connect this to Bhakti Yoga? So those of you who've been practicing for Bhakti Yoga for a while, or on some kind of spiritual path, we accept that our body belongs to Krishna or to God. So, hey, Rajman, welcome. So, when I first joined the ashram, one of the first things I learned was that you're not the body, or I'm not the body. Yeah? That's one of the first things you learn? Yes? I'm not the body. The second part to this is I'm spirit soul. So I belong to Krishna is one of the deepest ways that we can surrender in spiritual life. So when you truly feel that I belong to God, this is my body is a gift from God, and I belong to Him, then with this consciousness, then we can fully engage all of our activities in His service, including taking care of our health. So I learned this the hard way, because when I in the first several years of my spiritual life, I pushed myself really hard, and we were in the beginning of establishing Krishna consciousness and Bhakti Yoga in Bulgaria. So we worked really hard. We had a lot of work to do. And I really focused on my service and my morning practice, and I neglected my health. And then I ended up very sick. I was so sick. I could hardly move from bed. And I was sick for a while. It was a very painful experience. And it was not just I was miserable, but also I became a burden to others, because they had to take care of me, and many people were concerned about me. So I learned the hard way that my health is my responsibility, and taking care of my health is also spiritual service, because this body is a gift from God, and as such, I honor this gift by taking care of it. So I will ask for comments and questions in just a minute, but how Ayurveda can help our spiritual practice. So this is just two things, but sattvic diet and lifestyle. So sattvic is a quality of life which relates to living in balance and harmony with nature. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna speaks in great detail about the qualities of sattva, rajas, and tamas. And I don't have time to get into that now, but it's very interesting. So those of you who haven't read it yet, check out the Bhagavad Gita for that. But sattvic diet and lifestyle is the most harmonious, healthiest diet and lifestyle. And then Ayurveda also gives us healing tools for the body and mind. So healing is also healing on a very deep level. So each one of us comes with a particular lessons to learn in this life. Yes, like personal lessons, specific qualities to develop, specific inner obstacles to overcome. We've all had certain traumatic experiences, whether in this life, in a previous life. We have certain fears, we have certain inner blockages that are kind of covering our heart and preventing us from loving with a pure heart, which is the goal of bhakti. So, to me, a spiritual practice is also a healing journey, healing of the heart. So, healing of the heart, and this is the emotional heart, but also the spiritual heart. Healing of the heart in the sense of reconnecting ourselves with reestablishing our divine connection. So one of the first lessons I learned in Ayurveda is that the deepest original cause of disease is disconnecting ourselves from God. Turn away from God, disconnect. This is where all our problems begin. And the process of bhakti is to reestablish this connection. But sometimes, we come with our baggage. We start our spiritual practice or journey with a lot of things that we need to work out. And Ayurveda can give us the healing tools for that, make it easier for us. So before we get into food, any comments, thoughts, questions? Is this relevant to you? Can you relate to it? Yes?
Yeah, earlier when you were talking about your story, you said that you ran into someone on the sidewalk and they ended up bringing you into the ashram. I'm just wondering if you could just tell us more about that. Like, I'm very curious, how does that person end up revealing to you that they have this illegal ashram?
Well, this is not KGB. No. Well, she was distributing a book. At that time, we had only one book in Bulgarian language, book of Srila Prabhupada, and it was a pocket edition of Sri Ishopanishad. It was so big, like this, and it was in the cover was actually in English. Have you seen this?
3 books inside, right?
No, just one book.
But there are 3 Prabhupada books inside.
No, it was just one, just
one?
Ishopanishad.
I have.
So, and it was in English because it was supposed to be, they were literally smuggling the books. So it had to be pocket edition so you can actually hide it in your pocket. So, and at that time I was very much interested in ancient cultures. And when I looked at the Sanskrit, I was like, wow, what is this? The translation was so bad. I literally could not understand anything. What do you mean? I was reading in Bulgarian and I just couldn't, it was beyond my comprehension. But I just felt so attracted to it. And then when I went to the first class at the ashram, I immediately felt that this was my place because I was searching. I found another yogi who was so-called yogi and he was really expert in asanas. Oh my God, the way he can bend his legs and stand on his hand, and I was like, wow, this is really advanced. But then I realized that he was a womanizer, you know. So I'm like, oh, that's not real. So when I went to the ashram, the atmosphere was so pure, and even though it was practically an empty apartment, we were sitting on the floor, eating on the floor. Everything was happening on the floor, basically. Even though it was, materially speaking, there was nothing there, it was such a pure atmosphere and it was so clean. I was just so shocked by the cleanliness of the ashram. And it was run by women only. It just so happened that all the devotees in my town at that time were women. And they were just so sweet and accommodating and completely authentic. So I just felt that this was my place. But, and you know, ever since that time, I always, if I have the ability to influence anything, I always try to keep everything very clean because I realize that this is a very kind of uncommon feature nowadays, but also keep that clean, pure atmosphere because even without saying anything, people can feel that this is something special. So, is that good enough for you? Anything else? Any thoughts about your healing journey? What time
Is it bad if you sleep during the day? Or is time place circumstance? Like for a healthy person?
Yeah, so it depends. So for a healthy person, see, Ayurveda always speaks about seasonal changes, right? So in different seasons, our body is a little different. So we need to adjust our lifestyle and diet according to the season. So in the heat of summer, when it's very hot, it's okay to take a little siesta in the afternoon. Like, I don't know if you've been to India in the summer. Like when it's really hot, everything just closes down and people just rest because it's too hot.
It's not healthy.
Otherwise, no, it's not. But that's for a healthy person. So all these recommendations in terms of, even in Bhakti Yoga, there are so many, wake up before sunrise and all these things. All these recommendations are for a healthy person. If your health is bad, then you might have to sleep in the afternoon or wake up after sunrise. Or, for a sick person, these don't apply. So if you need to sleep in the afternoon and you're relatively healthy, then maybe it works for you. Maybe sometimes the body also adjusts. So if it works for you, that's great. But if you start feeling really sluggish and low energy, then that's not the right thing for you. So in general, also you're bringing another principle is that there's no black and white in Ayurveda. It's not like this is good and this is bad. Whether it's good or bad for you, it depends. So with food, with lifestyle practices, you have to figure out what works for you, what's best for you. And what's good, what's working for you, that's the best for you right now. And this will change because our bodies change, our health condition changes, the environment around us changes, so we always have to make adjustments.
And in connection to this, you also spoke how, because for us in the ashram it's like a big thing, sleeping on time, and like if you go on for a period of time where you're going to bed early and you have to wake up early, and then that becomes really taxing on your health. We know the standard is 9, latest 10 o'clock. Can you speak a little bit on this?
Yeah, so you're saying if you wake up really early, you might need to have a little nap just to bring your energy.
And also sleeping in the right time frame. Like if you go to sleep late,
and you wake up early again.
Still over a long period of time, that will still be taxing on your health.
Yes,
right?
definitely. Yeah.
If you can explain a little bit how the dynamics. Why is it happening?
Well, yes. So 1/3 of you live in the ashram. Most of you don't live in the ashram, but so see, the most nourishing sleep is before midnight. So when we're able to go to the quality of sleep before midnight is twice as rejuvenating as the quality of sleep after midnight. Did you know that? No. Well, you can try it. So you have a lot more energy, or you're supposed to have more energy. You feel more nourished, you feel more rejuvenated. Because see, sleep is not just to rest. During sleep, our brain detoxes. So there is special lymphatic drainage in the brain. And when we're sleeping, especially sleeping before midnight, our brain can properly rest and detox. So that's very important. And there are many diseases that come from insufficient sleep. But I know the ashram is really, what can you do? So you just have to, we can speak separately about this, but there's always a way to find a solution. You just have to maybe ask for help and figure it out just to see what works for you. Because, there's so many instances also, devotees who are not getting enough sleep, they drive and they get into accidents. Because when you don't get enough sleep, you become very ungrounded. You cannot focus properly. And your ability to distinguish distances also doesn't work so well. So, yeah, you have to be careful. Yes?
Sometimes, people will like, or doctors will say, oh, it's because you're older, and that's, and sometimes it's difficult to, is it because of my age that this is happening, or is it because I'm not doing the right thing? Is it because of wrong eating or sleeping, or is it because I should just accept it because I'm older? And how do we know what's, like how far we can push ourselves? Like, oh no, you need more sleep than that. If I said, but I'm good with 4 hours. And no, you need 8 hours. And, or I need sometimes to eat more. And, oh no, you're not supposed to exercise that much because you're older. So then you exercise less and you eat less. Just I get these things about being older, that these are new rules and that I have to accept disease or...
That's hard to accept, isn't it? Yeah. Well, see, the
It's
good
hard
news
to-
is
it's especially hard to accept if it's not happening to you. Like,
yeah.
Okay, it's
They're just
happening
putting
to
it
somebody
in a
else,
bu-
but
in a bucket.
they-
Yeah, because that's your age, so all
bucket.
this should be happening to you. Yeah. But the good news is that in general, as we get older, we need less sleep.
Less.
Yes, in general. So, okay.
And then when I eat less, I have so much energy.
Yeah. So see, the main thing is to see what works for you. And the reason, of course, as we get older, yes, the body just wears out. But many people experience chronic diseases during old age is because they ate bad food, like really unhealthy food, and had unhealthy lifestyle their whole life. So all these toxicity and blockages have been just keep building up, and then when you get old, your body is just that's why it's having all these problems. But if you actually meet like people who've been taking care of their health, just not excessively, but just basic health care throughout their life, they don't experience rheumatoid arthritis or high cholesterol. Okay, the hair will gray, I may feel a little more fragile and this and that, but in general they are still very energized.
How old do you have to be before you finally get like they say you're supposed to get old and decrepit and all that?
You don't have to
When is
fit
that
within
supposed
this.
to happen?
You're old as much as you think you are. So how old do you feel you are?
Well, it depends. I look in the mirror, I see how old I am.
Well, that's the external.
But sometimes, like when I'm dancing or stuff, I feel like I'm more energetic than I'm supposed to.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
maybe I shouldn't do this.
And that's wonderful. No. You're just listen to your intuition and don't let people tell you what. Now, if you have particular problem, like let's say low bone density, there are actually ways to, which is very common for old age. There are actually ways to address this in a holistic way, and one of them is dancing. You're putting pressure on your bones, and they stay stronger. But don't use old age as an excuse to feel unwell. Don't use old age as an excuse. You can be at your best during your old age because of your evolved consciousness. I know you guys can't wait to get old.
My Guru Maharaj used to say, when you're young, is the mind, body is okay. When you're old, is the body, mind is okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, can we have both? I want both. So, a little bit about food. Would you like to learn something more about food? Should we keep talking? Yes. So in Sanskrit we have this term ahara. Ahara. One of the meanings is food, but it's much more than food. Ahara is what we take in. So what do we take in with all of our senses?
Ear.
Yeah. Well, that's what the eyes, the ears, the smells, tastes, touch. Yeah. So, what do we invite into our being, into our body and mind? Just like in your house, which guest you're selective of who you invite to your house, right?
Something good.
You want to put something good, yeah. So that's part of conscious living, is being selective of what we take in. Because what we take in accumulates, and that's what comes out later. So when people say, "Oh, I want to see love in the world," love comes from love. Like if you have love in your heart, you will give love to others. If you have anger in your heart, then you'll be that will come out of you. So it's important to be aware of this. What do we bring in? Because all of this has an effect on our wellness, on our well-being. So I want to ask you, do you think that the food you eat affects your body, mind, and consciousness in your own experience? How do you think? Yes. What was your name?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh,
You shook
I'm
your
sorry.
head. So.
My name is Oin.
Oh yeah. Nice
Yes.
to meet you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like when I eat something more like wholesome food, I feel that I have more energy, and also like like the day go out through, like I don't feel tired. But if I eat like heavy food, then that day I feel so tired, and I cannot concentrate, on doing the practice, on meditation or anything. So definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, also the treatment. Yeah.
So you definitely feel a difference in your energy levels.
Yes.
Okay.
Especially like so before I used to eat meat, but then now that I start to do the vegetarian food, and I see so much difference also.
Good. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody feels like when you eat junk food, do you find yourself having more junk thoughts? Yeah. Have you noticed this on you? Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. But you don't eat junk food.
I would like to say that I don't.
Okay. So there's a direct correlation between the food we eat, what we take in, and the effect it has on our body, mind, and consciousness. And if you actually pay attention to it, you'll notice immediately what the effect is. But most of us tend to live on autopilot. We just like we live without self-awareness, so we don't notice. But there is a direct correlation. So in Ayurveda, there is this proverb that when diet is wrong, medicine is of no use. In other words, if you're not eating the right food, you go to the doctor and they can treat you as much as they want, but if you're not supporting your healing journey, healing process with the right diet, you will not see full recovery, you will not experience full recovery. Like you need the right food to heal. And also when diet is correct, medicine is of no need. You will not get sick so much. Now, the sad story in our beloved United States of America is that, and this is real statistic, 73% of the standard diet in America is ultra-processed foods. So ultra-processed foods are the foods that come out of a package with a ton of chemical preservatives in it, frozen foods, canned foods, anything that you cannot really prepare in the kitchen, in your kitchen. And also, read the ingredients. There's so many fillers and so many chemicals to extend the shelf life of the food, or to make it particularly spongy or particularly gooey. So this is all man-made chemicals that really corrupt our food. So 73% of Americans eat ultra-processed foods. That's like not eat. That's the main food they eat, or we eat. I don't eat it anymore. Sorry. I'm not part of this statistic. Why? Because I was very sick. When I had autoimmune disease, I could hardly eat anything. So I was able to completely reverse this, and now I have so much more energy than 15 years ago. But most people experience this, and they don't have energy. That one of the first symptoms we experience when we don't eat the right food that's right for us is low energy. So what do? Coffee, drugs. You just try to keep the energy artificially until the body collapses and you end up with serious illness. Yeah.
Can you speak about like frozen food versus fresh food?
Yeah, I have a slide about that. So, yes, our diet can make us sick, and this is also real statistics. at how most of these serious diseases, obesity, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, also cancer, if we can add cancer here, which is at 35%. 35% of cancer, that's a scientific statistic, is caused by eating ultra-processed foods. So, and sometimes you have to be careful because also in a vegan diet, so if you say, okay, no more meat, so I'm going to eat Beyond Meat, Viva, all these fake meat things, even though it's not meat from an animal, it's so processed, it's so artificially manipulated that the body doesn't recognize it as food. So it may satisfy your taste buds, and initially I tell people sometimes, okay, if you're really craving meat and you don't want to eat it, have the Beyond Burger or something. But this is not going to be a healthy food for you. So I counsel a lot of people. I meet a lot of people who tell me like, yeah, I'm a vegan, and when they tell me what they eat, they don't eat healthy food at all. So vegan doesn't always, or vegetarian doesn't always mean healthy diet. So be careful. Be careful what you take in, because it will have an effect on you short term and also long term. So sattvic diet, you'll be hearing this term will become very popular. It's becoming more and more popular, especially around Ayurveda and yoga. It helps us maintain good health, keeps the mind calm, because like Matanga was saying, when you're young, body is okay, mind is a problem. So the mind can be very restless. You know, you sit down to chant and it's like, or you may have a very negative internal dialogue. That's part of the functions of the mind. So which is something that can really bring us down. So the food we eat can help us with that, and also it supports spiritual practice. And now to come back to your, here is a little bit about the characteristics of sattvic foods. So can you see from there? Yeah. So it's charged with prana. So sattvic food is always fresh and lots of prana. It's seasonal. So when you think about the best food to eat in general, we're not getting specific ingredients here, just in general. Choose something that's seasonal, that's nutritious. Because food is meant to nourish us. It's not just to fill the belly. It's actually to nourish every tissue in our body. Easy to digest. So it's not just tasty, but after you eat it, you feel satisfied and full and not tired and sluggish. It means if you're energized, you're digesting well. It's energizing, colorful, make it beautiful. And balancing, deeply nourishing, it helps life, and it restores your body's intelligence to heal. So that's very important. The body knows how to heal itself. So when you eat this fresh sattvic food, you just feel happy. Your body is happy, your mind is happy, you're satisfied. Now, rajasic food is a little bit more lackluster. So there will be less prana in it. So usually leftovers, you cook it today, refrigerate it, eat it tomorrow. It's still some prana is there, but it becomes harder to digest. Frozen foods fall here. Anything that's out of season, because usually comes from who knows where, and sometimes it's ripened in trucks, like tomatoes. When they're out of season, they're not naturally ripened. They're put in a truck, gassed, and then they become red. That's why they're tasteless. If you don't believe me, search the internet. You will see. And then tastes good but results in discomfort. So enjoy eating it, but afterwards you're like, you start feeling gassy, or you're constipated, or you get acid reflux or something like that. You have a reaction after that. So you can also eat the healthiest, best food, but if you eat it in a stressful condition, you're standing, you're just gulping it down. Like if you eat very fast or distressed, then it will cause indigestion. And then the tamasic foods are very depleting. So this is the little or almost no prana. So canned foods, for example. Canning is taking the prana or the life out of the food to extend the shelf life. So how can this milk sit on the shelf without refrigeration for a month? Almond milk. Almond milk lasts for 3-4 days in my fridge if I make it fresh. But like there's so many chemicals put in it just so that it extend. Or the bread that doesn't go moldy and even the bugs don't eat it. Like for a month it sits on your counter and it just sits there. Yeah. So this is like no prana. It may fill your belly, but it will not give you energy, and it will also not involve your consciousness. Microwaved food.
Horrible.
So microwaving is like we're nuking it, right? So it really takes there is no prana left. So I had a friend, he used to be a cook on a submarine. So when I mentioned this in class many years ago, cooking class, he said, this is so true. He said, when we throw out leftover microwave food in the ocean, the sharks don't eat it. If the sharks don't eat it, why should you?
The air fryer, is that
Air fryer?
similar to microwave?
Air fryer is not so bad, but I don't like it. So it's not a very natural way of cooking. So and then so meat falls in this category because it's lifeless. It's dead flesh basically. So these foods are very hard to digest. They make you very lethargic, and eating them regularly can definitely lead to disease.
What about soy and tofu?
So that's kind of a rajasic. So see, anything that's hard to digest, your body. Soy and tofu is very hard to digest, right? So when you, or not just that, peanut butter. I'm looking lovingly, no judgment. So these are when food is hard to digest, when you don't digest it, that semi-digested food becomes like a sludge in the body. Have you seen colonics, what people get out of their colon when they do colonics? Have you seen pictures? Colonics? You know, like the stuff that's stuck in your colon for years. Right, it's not just poop, it's just fermented stuff, waste, yeah. So this is how we accumulate this stuff in our system. It clogs our channels, it builds around our arteries. So that's why I keep saying, make sure you're digesting your food. So for most people, tofu is hard to digest. And when Vaidya Mishra, my teacher, I was learning pulse reading with him, and he taught us he called it the tofu pulse. So I can read your pulse, and I don't ask you anything, you don't tell me anything. I can read your pulse, and if I ask you, do you eat a lot of tofu? Usually the answer is yes. Because there is a particular clogging that happens in the channels in the body when you eat a lot of tofu. So for most people, it's hard to digest.
But if you have a strong fire and you digest, it's good.
If you digest it, yeah. If you can, you can eat stones. They're rich in minerals. If you can digest them, great. Again, there is no good or bad food, right? So make sure that the food is good. The right food for you is the one you can digest. Just remember that. And your digestion varies. So if you feel tired and sluggish, don't eat deep fried foods. So what is healthy food? The one that's most suitable for your optimal health. So it's not like what's healthy for you may not be healthy for me, right? So you have to really address it personally. You have to really see, oh, that's right for me right now. Tomorrow you might have to change. So geographic location, day and time of day in your life. We have to adjust our diet with seasons, with our periods of life. Dosha imbalance, I don't have time to get into this. And your appetite. We spoke about this, and pleasure. Make sure that you enjoy it. And even sometimes, okay, we don't always eat the healthiest food. When you eat it, enjoy it. At least enjoy it. Because it's like, okay, I know this is not good for me, and this is gonna make me sick. At least enjoy it, because especially if it is prasadam. So this is when food becomes like the highest level of food is called prasad in Bhakti Yoga. And this is when we, before we eat, we offer what we are about to eat to God. And just like I was thinking the other day, so if you invite a very important guest to your home, imagine. And when the guest comes and you seat the guest, are you going to serve the guest first or yourself first? What are you going to do? Serve the guest, yeah, right. So you serve the guest, and when the guest is happy, then you sit down and eat. So similarly, in the Bhakti Yoga tradition, whatever we prepare, and we also consciously prepare it. So preparing prasadam, it's not just offering the food, but also how you select the ingredients, how you store them, how you prepare them. All of this is very conscious with loving intention. And then when you cook it, just offer it to your altar, your picture of Krishna or whoever you worship, and just offer it with a sense of gratitude. Thank you so much for this meal. Here, eat. Please enjoy this. And then we take the remnants that are called prasadam. So in this way, we purify our food. The food becomes spiritualized, but also the whole practice of cooking and eating becomes a spiritual practice. And just cooking and eating, which is such a chore, everybody does it, and many people don't like doing it because it's a lot of work also. But you can be in the kitchen and be in complete spiritual ecstasy. Why? Because you feel this connection. You feel the connection with God. You feel that you're doing this not for yourself, that I am Krishna's and I'm doing this for Krishna. And then you always feel a transcendental reciprocation when you're in that space of food preparation. And then prasad is beneficial for everybody, physically, spiritually, and also imagine if most people ate prasad. There will be much less slaughterhouses. It will be good for the environment. There will be much less wars and many other things. So sharing prasad with others is a way to express love and to help others elevate themselves as well. So this is my biscuits upgrade. I showed you the first picture of what they kind of look like, and somehow this doesn't look so good on the screen, but this is a recipe in my cookbook. I've written 2 cookbooks. You can look at them later if you like. And a delicious whole grain recipe for biscuits is in the book. So we, as you know, we have a restaurant, but we also have an online store. And if you like to learn more about cooking, how to prepare healthy food at home, we have online cooking classes, which you can watch on demand. We also have cookbooks, and we also have amazing products that you could cook at home, like khichdi packets and broths and soups that, especially when you don't have time to cook, they come in very handy and they're very delicious and nutritious. So we are offering special 25% discount. Just use Govinda25 if you like to try any of those. And this is the end. Thank you for your active participation. I know it's getting late. I know you have to go to bed soon. So how much time do we have? Do we have time for a couple more comments?
Yeah, questions, comments.
Yeah? How was this relevant for you? Yes?
Well, I'm going to eliminate microwaving food, so that's one concrete thing. You telling about prasadam reminded me of a story
we have a center in Tirupati, and they had a contract with the school system that they would serve 1,200 prasadam meals to the students for lunch. And before they started that program, the principal would get reports of injuries caused by one student on another,
Oh, they're fighting
paper
in
they
time.
scratched or something that, But after they started eating the Krishna lunch, the problem eliminated.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
Sattvic, it created more sattva in the mind.
yeah. So there actually is evidence for that. And there's another story too, that in one temple they would offer the orange juice from the shop to the deities, and then serve it out at breakfast. And one time the temple president was drinking the orange juice, and it didn't taste right. So he asked the priest, "Did you offer it?" And it turned out he didn't offer it.
Oh.
So he could tell by just tasting that it's different. So this prasadam really is different, and there's empirical evidence of difference. And you could design your own experiments, but to see how. There was actually in Prague that there was a businessman who ate at the restaurant because after he ate at Govinda's, he could work in the afternoon and he didn't feel wiped out. He felt energized. So.
Yeah, so you reminded me, thank you. So what prasadam, when you offer your food, it changes the vibration. It elevates the food on a vibrational level, which is a very subtle thing. But it's that like secret ingredient that people try. It's like, what is this? So because it's imbued with your love and with your devotion, and also with God's blessing. So don't undermine. If you've never offered your food to Krishna or to whoever you pray to, just try it once.
One more story.
No, wait, but I want to ask, do all of you know how to do an offering? Do you know how to do that? Is it okay if we explain? Yeah?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so the most important, like for me, the offering part is the best part of cooking. I always look forward to the offering because it's not just something I have to do. Cooking is a relationship, right? For me, cooking is a relationship with Krishna. So when I cook for Krishna, it's like, oh, I made this for you. Here, try it. So technically how to do that, you can have a little picture of Krishna or the deities, Radha Govinda, whoever inspires you, whatever image inspires you. And then you can have a special bowl or a plate that's only for offering. Nobody eats from it, like brand new, get something new. And then after you finish cooking, no tasting. That's the weirdest thing, as a chef. I work with other professional chefs and I'm like, okay, cook it without tasting. And like, what do you mean no tasting? I have to taste it every time I add salt. This is how professional chefs are trained. And when I tell them that I cook without tasting, I taste only after I offer it. And I always pray, how much salt? It's like, oops, the message comes so much. Now I've done this so many times, it comes naturally to me now. But so you just have a special bowl or a special plate, and then you offer it. And we chant mantras, so there are special mantras in Sanskrit, prayers that you can say. But if that's too complicated for you, you can just say, please, I made this for you, please accept it. Please enjoy, like that. And you will be, and then leave it for 5 minutes. And then you can take and transfer it. Don't eat from that bowl, just transfer it to your eating bowl and then enjoy it. And it's like, it's an exchange of love. It's an expression of love. And it's also a way to add spiritual aspect to your cooking. So just like we receive the food as a gift and then we offer it back. So it kind of closes the circle fully of giving and receiving.
If you offer it to Krishna, you have his bowl or everything, offer it to him, and then you have guests from what's left in the pot after the offering, you can serve the guests.
Yes.
You don't have to put it in the pot.
Oh, you can put it in the pot. That's okay. Yeah.
But if you don't,
It's still prasadam. Yeah, you're considering, it's your intention. So see,
And if, let's say, I don't taste it, but then after I've offered it, I taste it before I give it to the guest.
that's okay.
And I kind of like add more salt or whatever it needs.
Yes, that's okay. That's okay. Raj, are you calling me?
Then
Oh,
that's-
okay.
Oh, no.
okay.
You,
Thank you.
yes. It's very simple, but again, it's the, and sometimes when you're out and you cannot do this physically, just having the intention, you have your plate and you can just pray over it. I mean, it's there in every spiritual tradition. And really acknowledge that this is a gift that you're offering back. So you'll be surprised how it changes the energy in your mind, but it also changes the vibration of the food. I've seen this over and over again. It has a magical energy to the food. Yes, guys.
So, like, when you were talking about, enjoying something that's not necessarily like the most fresh or sort of holistic food. Like, sometimes like I'll go on a hike and I'll go to Grand Central to go on the train and there's a donut shop and I get this really big decadent chocolate donut and I eat it and I go on the hike and it's like a little ritual I have or whatever. And so, does that big, totally like, wow, moist donut have a place in like a spiritual experience? Can it? Or is that sort of the deception of really good, tonally sweet processed food? Like, where does that fall? And,
You go to the donut plant? You go to the donut plant?
Yeah.
But these donuts are supposed to be prasad, so
Really?
yeah. The owner is
That's
the owner Mark is a dear friend and he's a wonderful devotee.
well,
Just
okay,
saying.
another example. Like
No, but so this is a good example. So see, spiritually it's very good. But physically, see, you're still very young, right? And you're hiking, so you're physically active, you're out in fresh air and all that. So you can you can metabolize all that. But don't take it for granted. So make it the exception. Don't make this your regular diet. Don't eat dinner. Like sometimes people eat snacks for dinner. They just open the packet and they're just too lazy to cook or too late to order or whatever. It's like, I'll have crackers for dinner, like something like that. So don't make this the exception. Make it like the special treat. But don't eat donuts every day, even if they're prasadam. Your liver and your gallbladder will be like, oh. Yeah. Yes.
I was wondering why may we have a tendency to crave meat?
Mm-hmm. So sometimes this is called also satmya. So the foods that your ancestors were eating and the foods you grew up eating, it's kind of in your DNA. And also, this is very common also for people with type O blood. I'm not going to ask you what your blood type is. But especially people with type O, they crave this heavy protein diet. They actually need to eat more protein. I know because my husband is like that. So, yeah, you're not a bad person. It's just something that's very deep in your DNA. But you can completely overcome this. You just need a little help. I'm happy to help. We can talk separately if you like.
Thank you.
Yes.
Want to piggyback off of that situation. I have difficulty being completely vegetarian, especially around that time of the month for women.
Mm-hmm.
That is when I need to have meat.
Yeah.
I get really, really sick.
Yeah, so that's
vegetables don't cut it.
Don't cut it. Yeah.
Even all the reds and all the blacks, you know, like I really work on building my blood.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult.
Yeah,
I recommend.
I can totally relate. So, see, you need to work with a practitioner just to help you with this. But what happens is during that period, your fiery energy goes very high, and this is when you crave more protein and probably sweets also. So there is a way to balance this by balancing that energy, keeping it under control. Your craving for meat would disappear. So you just need help to figure it out.
I do.
I can recommend, I mean, I don't have much time for consultations these days, but I can recommend some really good Ayurvedic doctors and practitioners who can help me, because especially if you want to give up the eating of meat. You know, it's a process for everybody. I don't judge you if you still cannot give it up. But if you have this desire, you can definitely get help for that. Yes, Janaki.
I just want
You
to
have
say
to
that
end.
we're a little over time, but that doesn't mean that the conversation has to end.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, we have some of your books here. I'm happy that you have it there. The feast that we've prepared is all from Divya's cookbooks.
Oh, wow.
So you're gonna thank you so much for giving such a wonderful talk. And I don't know if maybe you'll be around for a few more minutes if anyone has individual questions.
Yeah, are you gonna serve here? Like,
we'll serve in the big.
oh,
big
okay.
dining room over there.
Yeah,
sit down there if you want. You can sit with us.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
Of course.
Right now, we'll just do like a 10-minute little kirtan, because it's when you register all of this spiritual information. This is I like what you said about kind of like closing the gaps. When you offer it, you receive something, ingredients, and you make it with love, and then you give it back. And so this kirtan, we can kind of digest what we've heard and this association, and so just shortly, and then we'll go to the feast. Thank you so much. If we can just give a big round of applause.
Thank you again. It's an honor to be of service to you. Thank you for your wonderful participation.